Hello and welcome back to the another episode of Daily News Analysis for UPSC 2025. It is 12th July today and we are going to discuss these 7 articles which are very much important for your exam. We had taken these articles from the Hindu newspaper so that we will do the brief analysis of that and give the basic idea which is behind them. And we will try to clear the concepts related to these topics. So before we start this discussion, I would like to introduce this channel to you guys. We had started this initiative from the 1st of July, in which we discuss the current news analysis every day during the day session, and in the evening session we try to discuss the daily quiz. In the daily quiz session we discuss two types of questions. One who are related to the current affairs, which we had already discussed, so that it will give the brief idea and help you revise the current affairs. And the second, we discuss the previous year questions so that it would help you understanding the pattern of the paper and help you if you study them well and help you in eliminating many options in the upcoming exam. So before we start, I would like to take this moment to ask you guys for a favor. Please do subscribe to this channel. When you subscribe, it gives us the motivation to work more hard on it and deliver these topics in the better way, deliver more information to you guys, and also it is kind of the appreciation that you show towards our work. So without any delay, let us see what are the articles which we have to discuss today, and let's discuss them one by one. First, the first article which we have to discuss is related to the electrical vehicles. It is about the investment in India's electric vehicle space. So with this in this topic we will discuss the recent trends in it, and we will discuss what are the frameworks the government has brought in, how government is regulating the electric vehicle industry. Then after that we will jump to the another topic. It is about the BIMSTEC Foreign Ministers Summit. We will discuss about it. India is hosting it. It is chaired by Thailand. Then after we will discuss the first ship to dock at Kerala, San Fernando first mothership to dock at Kerala. We will discuss the concept of draft in it, and we would also discuss the concept of transshipment. Then after that we will discuss about the RBI, which allows the residents of India to open foreign currency accounts. Then after that we will discuss should the states get special packages outside India, outside Finance Commission. After that we will jump to the Dango case on rise. Then after that to the Zika virus, which is making a comeback in Maharashtra. So without any delay, start our first topic, which is about the future investment in India's electronic vehicle space. You know, with respect to the electronic vehicles, the main purpose of these electronic vehicles is to reduce the air pollution, which has been happening since the last 1 century at the tremendous rate. Because of the internal combustion engines, the pollutants they emit. To reduce them, the idea of electric vehicles was introduced. So in this regard, it is estimated that if at present time the speed of the technology, the way it is improving, by 2050 we would reach at the point where the internal combustion engines would be totally eliminated from the earth, and electric vehicles would be used in respect to the transportation. So with this regard, Government of India in March they announced a scheme to promote the passenger car electric vehicles in India. This scheme it benefit. Before we discuss the scheme, we should know that earlier the tariff on the electric vehicles was too high, and for a common man it is not easy. It is not easy for them to get the electric vehicles. They think a lot on that when to plan the electric vehicles. So मतलब कि इंडिया में उतना ये नहीं लिया जाता है because of the financial condition of our people. It is very hard for them. They have to think a lot. They have to plan a lot to get an electric vehicle. So with this regard, what was done, मतलब कि क्या किया गया था कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया they brought they announced a scheme in which they are trying to promote the electric vehicles, in which they are actually benefiting the manufacturers of the outside foreign manufacturers. How they are benefiting them? How they are benefiting them? There are two ways. To get the electric vehicle, either to directly get get the assembled car from the foreign country, or get the components of the car and assemble them in India itself. So these are two ways by which we can get these electric vehicles. In the first case there was very huge tariff, and also during the assembly in the second case also the tariff was very high. But the government has announced the scheme in which they are going to benefit the manufacturers for assembly. Government imposes tariff of 15%. मतलब कि जब वो component, when we get the components from the foreign countries and assemble them, for those components the tariff was 15%, and for the full car it was supposed to be 30%, but it has been reduced under this initiative. Let us discuss about the initiative. What is that? The foreign manufacturers of a car of a price above $35,000, if any car whose price is above $35,000, the government will simply reduce tariffs to 15%. अगर कोई कार है जिसका मतलब कि जिसका मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्राइस है वो above $35,000 से मतलब फॉरेन इंडस्ट्री में मतलब वो इंपोर्ट करना चाहते हैं टू आवर कंट्री, द गवर्नमेंट विल सिंपली रिड्यूस जो गवर्नमेंट है they will reduce this tariff to the 15%. For that मतलब कि ये स्कीम उन पे अप्लाई होगी. देयर शुड बी सम रेवेन्यू थ्रेशोल्ड टू हैव. वो रेवेन्यू थ्रेशोल्ड क्या है? दे हैव टू सेट अप मैन्युफैक्चरिंग फैसिलिटी इन इंडिया इन नेक्स्ट 3 ईयर. मतलब कि जो वो कंपनी होगी जो एक्सपोर्ट करेगी अपने कंपोनेंट से अपनी इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स को टू इंडिया, जिन पे ये टैरिफ कम होगा अप टू 15%, जिनका कॉस्ट होगा अब 35,000 ऑफ देयर कार्स, तो उनको क्या करना है? हाउ दे कैन गेट दिस बेनिफिट? पहला कि दे हैव टू set up the manufacturing facility in India in next 3 years. Second, उनका investment, their investment should increase to the $500 million, and also 25% value addition should be there by 3 years, and 50% value addition by 5 years. मतलब ये क्राइटेरिया है उन कंपनीज के लिए या उन इन्वेस्टर्स के लिए इन इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स जो मतलब कि इंडिया में मतलब कि इंपोर्ट करते हैं. What let us revise these criterias. पहली बात, उनका जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कॉस्ट होगा व्हीकल का वो अबाउट $35,000 होना चाहिए, so that they will get the tariff up to 15%. दूसरी बात, they have to set up the manufacturing facility in India in next 3 years. तीसरी बात, they have to invest $500 million also. चौथी बात, 25% वैल्यू एडिशन बाय 3 इयर्स, मतलब 25% वैल्यू एडिशन होना चाहिए नेक्स्ट 3 इयर्स में, और 50% वैल्यू एडिशन होना चाहिए नेक्स्ट 5 इयर्स में. अगर फॉर एग्जांपल इफ ए कंपनी इज नॉट एबल टू फुलफिल दिस प्रॉमिस और फुलफिल दिस एग्रीमेंट, व्हाट विल हैपन टू देम? गवर्नमेंट देन जो उनको मतलब कि ये चीज़ें लेने के लिए दे हैव टू गेट बैंक गारंटीज फॉर दिस, एंड इफ दे फेल दीज बैंक गारंटीज विल एंड अप. सो व्हाट इज़ द लॉजिक बिहाइंड दिस? मतलब अगर हम देखेंगे ये जो मतलब कि स्कीम लाई गई, इसके पीछे लॉजिक क्या था? इसके पीछे यही एक लॉजिक था जो नीति आयोग का एक रिपोर्ट आया था. मतलब उन्होंने बताया था कि अगर किसी कॉमन इंसान को ये इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल लाना होता है इन इंडिया, दे हैव टू थिंक अ लॉट, दे हैव टू प्लान अ लॉट, क्योंकि इट इज़ द लाइफ टाइम इन्वेस्टमेंट डिसीजन फॉर ए कॉमन मैन. So इसके लिए they will think a lot. So नीति आयोग recommended that electric vehicles should be available at lower costs, so more people will purchase it. Because of that, the government has brought up this initiative, so that when the tariffs will decrease, the cost in India for the electric vehicles will also decrease. And और दूसरी बात, the India's target for 2030 is to have 30% of electric vehicles in India. But after all these, मतलब कि इंडिया ने फेम 1 लाया, फेम 2 लाया, ये स्कीम, these scheme, they brought up these schemes, but still the imports are very high in India. उसके पीछे the initiatives, these initiatives are implemented, but why are these imports still high in India? इसके पीछे एक ये रीज़न बताया जाता है कि जो बेटर सर्विस एंड रिपेयर इज़ नॉट दैट गुड इन आवर कंट्री. अगर हम लाएंगे भी एक मतलब गाड़ियाँ इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स, लेकिन उनके लिए सर्विसेज हमें अच्छा अवेलेबल नहीं है अपनी कंट्री में, और रिपेयर के लिए भी ठीक नहीं है. So because of that and other the tariff issues, the imports are very high for the electric vehicles. Now the another topic which was in the discussion today, it was the government of China. They are investigating against the EU's European Union's decision on the tariff rate for the vehicles from China, which is they had set the tariff rate of 100% on Chinese electric vehicles. This the way European Union has set up this tariff rate, it has very worse impact on the world. This could lead to the trade war between the European Union and the China, and also इसका impact इंडिया में भी पाएगा because जब इतना tariff rate होगा चाइना की vehicle पे, तो cost जो चाइना की व्हीकल का हो जाएगा, that would boom to the sky and it would not be easy for anyone to buy that. So उसकी वजह से क्या होगा, the China would shift its market and they would start dumping in the markets like India and other countries. तो उसकी वजह से इंडिया में इन्फ्लेशन का खतरा हो सकता है and it would impact the market of India. So with this regard, it is important for us, and let's see what would happen in coming days. I hope I was able to explain this topic in a proper way. Let's recap this topic. Let's summarize it. In this article we discussed few important things. पहली बात, जो passenger electric vehicles है, they are very much needed. They are the need of the time because to reduce the environment pollution. दूसरी बात, they are very मतलब कि उनका प्राइस जो रहता है वो बहुत ज़्यादा high because of the tariffs. अब क्या है, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया हैज ब्रॉट एन इनिशिएटिव इन विच दे वुड help the benefit the manufacturers. They will reduce the tariffs for them, but they have some revenue threshold which they have to get. उस revenue threshold में क्या है, they have to make 500 million investment. They have the car's value should be more than 35,000. और क्या हमने पढ़ा था उसमें, and what did we saw in it? They have to set up the manufacturing facility in India in next 3 years. They are 25% value addition by 3 years and 50% value addition by 5 years. Or to have this, they need to have a bank guarantee for this. और फिर हमने देखा why these initiatives were brought in because of the report from the Niti Aayog. What did it said that it is very hard for a common man to buy an electric vehicle because it is a lifetime investment for them. Or we need to reduce the prices of the electric vehicles. और उसी के साथ हमने ये भी देखा कि what is the target of India by 2030 to have at least 30% electric vehicles. और फिर हमने देखा Chinese government's investigation against European Union's tariff laws on Chinese imports. So this was about this discussion. Now let's move to the next. It is about India is hosting BIMSTEC Foreign Ministers Summit. About BIMSTEC, we should know some basic information in it. This topic, it is not, it is very old. You would have read it in your international relations. It is very simple and straightforward topic. So let us discuss it. Let's have some basic idea about the BIMSTEC. It was established in 1997. It was then called BISTEC. The member countries of this BIMSTEC then was Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka and Thailand only. Then after a few years the Myanmar joined, then Nepal and Bhutan. Now it has 7 countries. Who are these 7 countries? It is Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar and Nepal and Bhutan. These are the 7 countries of the BIMSTEC. So what was the background of it? The main reason for this was to control the onslaught of globalization, to protect their markets, to have the regional grouping in which they would cooperate. मतलब कि जो historically हम देखेंगे हमारे our interests were same, हमारा जो trade था it was almost same. We had traded with these countries on huge, from the times immemorial we are connected to each other. और जो हमारे problems है they are almost same. So it was important to protect the regional market, or that was the reason. And another reason was that for India to show that they are the sole security provider for these countries. It was one of the reason in it. Then और इसमें in BIMSTEC we should know that each of the member countries, they have some responsibility, they have some area. For example, for the trade and investment, this area is under the Bangladesh. Then for environment protection, it is under Bhutan. This security provider, it is under India. For the agriculture, it is Myanmar. People to people contact, it is for Nepal. Science and tech for Sri Lanka, and connectivity, it is for Thailand. This year the chair is going, मतलब जो इस year का chair head होगा, that is Thailand. That is going to be Thailand, and it is going to be the ministerial meeting. And also we should know about the BIMSTEC that it is usually done after every 2 years. This meeting is usually done after every 2 years. So this was in nutshell about the India, about the BIMSTEC Foreign Ministers Summit. But in this, one thing which we forget, that the Myanmar, it is the part of this grouping. But right now the condition in Myanmar is very bad. Historically, we had seen there had been armed rebellions in Myanmar. We had seen ethnic groups, military junta, political groups, they are fighting each other. We had also seen ethnic armed organization. They had, and the important point in it, they have important. The most important point in it is that the armed rebellions, they had occupied important trade routes. So this is the point of concern for these countries. Also, in 2024, the BIMSTEC charter was announced. The focus on the discussion on which you would allow, in the charter the focus was given, मतलब कि कैसे हम दूसरी country को allow करेंगे to be the member of this BIMSTEC, or be the observer of the BIMSTEC. Also, legal, it confers legal personality on the organization, that charter. So it was about it. And one more thing we should know about it, that मतलब इतना सारा होने के बाद भी over the period of time this BIMSTEC is not performing that well. There is lack of implementation. मतलब अगर कोई चीज साइन होती है, implementation में issue आता है. What do you think is the reason for that? There is illegal unregulated fishing, मतलब trade में, मतलब कि we see this is a Bay of Bengal initiative. We see these are the countries are all surrounded by some, almost all countries are surrounded by seas, these countries except Bhutan. So there is a trade in fishing, and there is we see the illegal fishing there. We see that the rising investment of China in these countries, and because under the influence of China, they are not cooperating well with India. So that we had seen the lack of implementation in BIMSTEC, and we had seen the working of BIMSTEC being, it is not, मतलब कि इसकी working उतनी अच्छी नहीं हो रही है because of all these factors, like the factors in trade, the investment of China, role of China, and all that. So this was in nutshell about the India hosting BIMSTEC's Foreign Ministers Summit. Let's try to recap what we understood in it. It was established in 1997. Originally it had only 4 countries. Then Myanmar was added, and Nepal and Bhutan was added. And now it has 7 countries. It is also called the Bay of Bengal Initiative. Its main purpose was to control the onslaught of globalization. Each member country is responsible in some area. For example, we saw in trade, it is Bangladesh; in security, it is India; in environment, it is Bhutan; in agriculture, Myanmar; in connectivity, it is Thailand; and science and tech for Sri Lanka, people to people contact for Nepal. And we saw the right now the issues in Myanmar, how the major trading ports are controlled by the ethnic armed rebellions, and that is one of the concern which would be discussed in this summit. And also we saw in 2024 the BIMSTEC charter was announced, in which the focus of discussion was that how a country would be added in the BIMSTEC as the observer. And also this charter, it conferred the legal personality on the organization. And we also saw that how over the period this BIMSTEC has stopped functioning in a proper way because of some lack of implementations, because of the illegal unregulated fishing trade there, and also we saw the rising influence of China over these countries. So this was in a nutshell about the BIMSTEC and India's hosting, and also the impact of the conditions in Myanmar which are to be discussed in it. Now the next topic, it is about the San Fernando becomes first mothership to dock at Kerala Port. About this, we should know that in India we have 13 major ports in India right now, but the condition situation is different. For a ship, it needs some area to, when it is floating in the sea, some area of the ship needs to be underwater, and that area is called the draft. If is called the draft. To understand, मतलब कि अगर हम draft की एक definition देंगे, it is the distance between the bottom, it is ships or in the world, it is the distance between the surface of the water and the bottom of the ship. अगर आप imagine करें, आप visualize करें, एक ship एक समंदर में चल रहा है और कुछ हिस्सा उसका पानी में रहता है, और जो वो हिस्सा पानी में रहता है, और मतलब from the bottom of that, from the surface, जो पानी का सरफेस है और बॉटम ऑफ द शिप के दरमियान जो डिस्टेंस है उसको ड्राफ्ट कहते हैं. टू हैव मतलब जो ये मेजर पोर्ट्स इंडिया में है, मतलब ये जो ड्राफ्ट डिस्टेंस इट इज़ वेरी स्मॉल इन इंडिया, मतलब ये ड्राफ्ट डिस्टेंस स्मॉल है. सो इसकी वजह से क्या होता था कि जो हमारा ट्रेड होता था, मतलब अगर कोई बड़ी मेजर शिप, मतलब कोई बड़ी शिप आती, तो दे डिड नॉट डायरेक्टली कम टू इंडिया. वो क्या करते, दे वुड फर्स्ट गो टू कोलंबो, क्योंकि वहाँ पे जो ड्राफ्ट डिस्टेंस है दैट इज़ वेरी हाई, और वहाँ से फिर वो ट्रांसशिपमेंट करते थे, मतलब कि वहाँ पहले अनलोड करेंगे अपना पूरा सामान जो मतलब कि ट्रांसफ़र करना था इंडिया, और वहाँ से दूसरी शिप उसको लोड करेगी और फिर वो इंडिया में लाएगी. और इसकी वजह से क्या होता था कि इंडिया में एक तो टाइम वेस्ट होता था और कॉस्ट भी इंक्रीज होता था. So this is the concept behind the transshipment. Then the Adani groups ने ये project लिया in Kerala, in which it was found that मतलब कि the area within Jam port it was found most suitable for that, क्योंकि वहाँ का flow भी अच्छा था और ड्राफ्ट मतलब कि ड्राफ्ट भी अच्छा मिला. So it is the first time in India that the mother मतलब San Fernando, it became the first mothership to dock at Kerala's within Jam port. So this is the concept behind it, and this is in nutshell. Now let's recap what we understood from this. To recap it, we should know that India has around 13 major ports. They are not deep vessel ports. We know that ships are in the water up to certain level, that is draft. What is draft? If we give the proper definition to it, distance between surface of the water and bottom of the ship. Largest ship vessels require huge drafts. Major ports in India have smaller draft जो major port India के. So the ships rather directly coming to India, they will go to Colombo port and they will unload and then ship it from there. उसका वो क्या, this led to the transshipment. Time taken will be huge. Cost of imports will also increase. In order to address this issue, the transshipment port developed in Kerala. Draft in the transshipment port जो केरला में develop है, उसका draft is 18 meters and can be extended to 20 meters. And also drift जो यहाँ पे ज़रूरत था, that is very less, and which is उसकी वजह से sedimentation कम होगी, और जब वो sedimentation कम होगी तो maintenance का खर्चा भी कम हो जाएगा. So this was about this article. Now coming to the next question, which the author asks in the newspaper: should the states get special packages outside finance commission? We discussed this article earlier on the 8th I guess, about the coalition government, how it impacts the financing of the states. Right now we have the coalition government. Our जो supports, main supporters है हमारी government के, it is from Bihar and Andhra Pradesh. So मतलब कि इसकी वजह से क्या होगा, जब when the government decides to finance the states, they would put their demands in forward, and मतलब कि they would pressurize the government to fulfill their demands, whether they would be justified or not. Government will be forced to fulfill that, and it is said that it will impact the fiscal prudency in our country. मतलब कि इसकी वजह से मतलब बहुत सारे impacts होंगे. But let's see what are the demands of the state of Bihar, what are the demands of the Andhra Pradesh. For the state of Bihar, they want special package of 30,000 crore, and Andhra Pradesh, they want 1 lakh crore special package. Also they want relaxation to the gross budget borrowings. Third, they want interest-free loans for investment in capital expenditure. They are demanding allocation of demands should be high, मतलब जो मतलब allocation होगा that should be increased. They want to, मतलब why do they want these things? They want to use this money in investment. Andhra Pradesh is, मतलब जो Andhra Pradesh की claim है, they are saying that after the bifurcation they had lost lot of revenue, so to compensate that they would put some pressure on the government. बिहार गवर्नमेंट का भी यही चक्कर है कि अगर हम बिहार की कंडीशन देखेंगे, वी सी इट लैक्स डेवलपमेंट इन बिहार इज वेरी लेस और इसका इम्पैक्ट बहुत खतरनाक होगा ऑन गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया. तो इसका इम्पैक्ट क्या रहेगा? गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडियाज एक्सपेंडिचर विल इंक्रीज, प्रेशर ऑन फाइनेंसेस विल इंक्रीज, फिस्कल डेफिसिट विल इंक्रीज, एंड also there is no guarantee that the states like Bihar and Andhra Pradesh will use this money, this resources in the way they had promised. So मतलब कि जो underdeveloped states होते हैं, there are more chances of the leakage of money. So there is also no guarantee about that. And also दूसरा मतलब कि if they would fulfill the demands of the Andhra Pradesh and Bihar, मतलब कि बाकी जो states है, they would also start claiming this relaxation. और यूजुअली अगर हमने देखा पिछली गवर्नमेंट भी, फॉर एग्जांपल तमिलनाडु, कर्नाटका, दे वर ब्लेमिंग दैट कि जो गवर्नमेंट है वो उन स्टेट्स को फेवर कर रही है जहाँ पे उनकी गवर्नमेंट है, और उन स्टेट्स के खिलाफ रिवेंज लेती है जहाँ पे उनकी गवर्नमेंट नहीं है. सो इट वुड पुट एक्स्ट्रा प्रेशर ऑन द गवर्नमेंट एंड finally the fiscal prudence will become a casualty if the government would allow this thing. So this is something which we would understand in the coming months, in the coming topics, because we have to discuss the budget also, we have to discuss the demands of the states, we have to discuss the demands of the organizations. So by time we will understand what would be the impact and how the government will deal with this. With this, we move to the next topic. It is about the RBI. They allow resident Indians to open foreign currency account in GIFT City. You know about that earlier also. They were allowed to have it, but there were some restrictions. Now the RBI has removed those restrictions. Let us start this discussion in a different way. For example, you want to send the money to the foreign investor in foreign country. For that you had the LRS, which is called the liberalized remittance scheme. This LRS, it was implemented by RBI in 2004. In this scheme, individually you can take $2.5 lakh per year without any approval. So you can invest in foreign market both in capital. In this scheme, you would invest in foreign market in both capital account and the current account transactions. And also about foreign currency account, earlier you also had this, but as I already said that there were some restrictions which has been removed by the government. इसका advantage क्या रहेगा? That you would instead of rupees in your account, you will have dollars in your account, and it would be the huge investment. क्योंकि हम देखते हैं कि the rate of dollars is increasing with respect to our countries. अगर आप आज इस साल फॉर एग्जाम्पल 100 रुपये रखोगे, तो नेक्स्ट ईयर अगर इस साल $1.70 में हो रहा है, तो नेक्स्ट ईयर $1 वुड बी फॉर एग्जाम्पल वुड बी 80. सो आपको फायदा मिलेगा इफ यू वुड कीप इन योर मनी इन डॉलर्स, एंड योर ट्रांजेक्शंस वुड बी इजी in the foreign exchange or in the foreign investment. So in nutshell, you can have these dollars to invest outside India without any delay or without any problem, because all those restrictions which were put forward by RBI, they had been removed. Now let's move to the next topic of today's discussion. It is about the dengue cases on rise in world. If we would see, according to WHO, 7.6 million cases are seen around the world this year of dengue cases. Of that 7.6 million cases, only 70% of those cases are from the Asian region, and 20% or more of these cases are from India itself. What is the reason put forward? Why are there rise in the why are there rise in the cases of dengue? It is because of the onset of monsoons. This area which is impacted by the monsoon, for example India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, this area, Myanmar, we see that in this area the rise of dengue also is in proportion to the onset of monsoon. Also, why this was in the news, we had seen in Karnataka there is huge rise. Also about dengue, we should know it is the vector borne disease. It is and there is no such a, now the question here the writer asks why there are no such vaccines for this dengue, as we know it is the it is very dangerous disease. Why there are not vaccines for that? It is because there are different strands of these viruses, different types of these viruses, and it is not very easy for for those to make vaccine, for those to make the vaccine which would work on every virus. So that is the difficulty. There are some vaccines which had been developed for the dengue. For example, dengue vaccine, it was developed, but we had not seen the good results that it has its impact on every strand or every type of the virus, of the dengue virus. So this was in a nutshell about the dengue cases rise in India. About the WHO's report, 7.6 million cases all over the world, 70% from Asian region, 20% from India. Why? Because of the onset of monsoon. Why there are no development of vaccines? There are some vaccines were developed, but the types of viruses for the dengue are so many that it is difficult to make a vaccine which would impact everyone. There are some vaccines, for example, dengue vaccine for the dengue, but it has not shown that result which it was proposed, which was proposed that it would show. Now, to the last article of today's discussion, it talks about the Zika virus. As we see here that it has made a comeback. There are some cases in Maharashtra. It is also transmitted by mosquito. In the same mosquito which transmits dengue, chikungunya. So when we test, when we find the symptoms, almost the both Zika virus and dengue, they have same symptoms. When we see these symptoms, we usually in India go for the dengue testing. It is recommended that if the dengue is found negative, if there is no dengue in a patient, they should also go for the Zika testing, Zika virus testing. There is one, about one thing more about Zika virus transmission. It does not only transmit by by mosquitoes only. It has different means of transmission. For example, by sexual contact, for example by blood contact, or and others. There are some problems. We don't have that many kits available to test the Zika virus. We don't have sufficient technology to test. Huge backlog for testing. No approved standard COVID for मतलब कि no approved standard for the Zika test kits. We don't have any approved standard for that. These are some problems. And also, if this Zika infection infects the pregnant woman, that Zika virus could impact the child in the womb of the woman. She can either go for the miscarriage, or if a child is born, his brain will not be that much developed. The size of the head would be very small. So this condition is called the microcephaly. So this was about today's discussion. I hope you liked the video. As usual, let's recap. Let us see what we have discussed in today's discussion. And the first article which we discussed was the investment in electric vehicles. How government is had announced the scheme which is helping the manufacturers. The aim for that scheme is to reduce the tariffs and make these vehicles available for the common man. Then we had seen the concerns related to the electric vehicles, lack of repair and better services. Also, we saw the China government announced that they will get investigation against policies of EU. Then after that, we discussed about India hosting BIMSTEC Foreign Ministers Conference. We discussed about in BIMSTEC, we discussed the areas under every country, and also we discussed the impact of Myanmar's internal rebellions. Then after that, we discussed about the San Fernando becomes first mothership to dock at Kerala's Vizhinjam port. We discussed that India's major ports, they lack the deep vessel, they don't have deep vessel ports. Reason the draft distance is very low in India's major ports. So उसकी वजह से क्या होता था कि जो ships India direct आने चाहिए थे for the trade, they have to go to the Colombo port. वहाँ पे transshipment होगी, फिर वो वापस आते. फिर finally this port was developed in Kerala, and now that San Fernando, it became the first mothership to dock at Kerala's that port which we discussed. Then after that, we discussed about the states to get special packages outside Finance Commission. We discussed the demands of state of Bihar. We discussed the demands of state of Andhra Pradesh. After that, we discussed about the RBI allows resident Indians to open FCA in gift cities. And finally, we discussed about the Dango cases on rise, and we also discussed about the Zika virus and how it has its impact on the health of the people. So with this we conclude today's discussion. I hope you liked this video. I please do write in the comments what are the changes which I should bring in my teaching style. So with this I conclude it. Please like and subscribe the channel. It would motivate me to work more hard on it. Thank you very much for staying with me.